Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this year's edition of AMEC Measurement Month. My name is Abidemi Animashao, and I'm your host for today. AMEC, which is the Association for Measurement and Evaluation of Communication, has partnered with P Plus Measurement Services to champion this year's event. The AMEC Measurement Month is an annual event which brings together over 160 AMEC members from 86 different countries of the world. And AMEC has chosen P Plus Measurement Services, Nigeria's leading and foremost media intelligence agency, to spearhead this year's event in Nigeria with the theme upscaling the role of media monitoring, measurement, and evaluation in post-COVID-19. Without much further ado, I would like to introduce our guest today. First, we have Mr. Todd Murphy, the CEO at Universal Information Services, who is a developer of news monitoring and measurement solutions in the United States. Welcome. It's great to have you, Mr. Todd Murphy.
Thank you. I appreciate joining you.
Thank you very much. Also, we have Mr. Sheye Olurotimi, who is a lead consultant at Cedar Tribe Limited. He's also a PR professional and an expert in business communication and brand engagement. Welcome on board, Mr. Sheye Olurotimi. It's great to have you in this event.
Thank you much for having me. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sheye. Welcome on board. Before we proceed,
Thank you.
Before we proceed, I would like to inform our guests that we have 7 insightful questions lined up, and each guest is expected to answer all 7 questions. The allotted time for each question is 3 minutes. And also for our participants, there will be opportunities to ask questions while our guest provides answer. Also, when it's time for questions from our audience and participants, would kindly implore our participants to signify by using the section where they are to raise their hand. So we'll go into the next section proper, and we'd like to get to know our guest for today. We'd like to get acquainted with our guest for today. So Mr. Todd Murphy, please tell us more about what you do and how the journey has been so far.
Sure. My journey's been pretty much my entire life. My father bought a media monitoring company in 1959 here in the United States. And although I was born a few years after that, I broadcast monitoring tools for television and radio. After going to university, the internet was starting to become a data source. So I developed our electronic media monitoring services and data mining in the 90s, and then purchased the company about 5 years ago. So it's been a lifetime of being on this path. Maybe that qualifies me to retire early, but I don't think so, because my father still comes to the office quite frequently, and he's in his 80s, so I've got a pretty high bar to achieve.
Wow, that's very inspiring to know how far you've come, Mr. Todd Murphy. I'm sure our audience and our participants are inspired as well. Same question goes to you, Mr. Sheye Olurotimi. Please tell us more about what you do and how you attain the position you are in now.
Okay, so thank you so very much. After listening to Todd, I was asking myself, he probably lives and breathes media monitoring. I wasn't born into media monitoring measurement, but of course, it's part of what I do now. Interesting. Okay, so basically, I wear a couple of caps, but I will just stick with the 2. I operate at the intersection of being somebody that takes decision for clients on what media to buy. Okay. And then I also run a media outfit, basically. Okay, so I'm this lead consultant for Cedar Tribe Communication. And what we do basically is integrated marketing comms, which includes media monitoring, media buying, media applying, and everything that has got to do with media. I also run a media outfit called MSME Africa, which is basically a media platform for news and other items related to micro, small, and medium enterprises. So on one hand, I'm a media buyer. I buy media for my client. On the other hand, I own a media outfit.
You sound like you're busy as well.
I
I
quite
think so.
agree with Todd. Quite
Very
agree with
busy
Todd.
man.
I think so.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheye. We are really thrilled to know how far you've come and what you do in your field. I can say for sure that you're doing great. And same with you, Mr. Todd Murphy. So before we move to the main session of today's event, I would like to inform our participants that there'll be opportunities for questions and answers. So sit back, relax, have fun while we learn together. Now,
That's
we
good.
understand that they.
I was going to say that's good
We
instruction.
understand that.
Having fun is important. I appreciate that.
I agree with you, Todd, and I'm sure Mr. Sheye agrees also. Thank you
I
very
agree
much.
with him.
Okay, so we understand that there's a need for PR measurement expert to push the need for measurement and evaluation to make it more attractive, make it more reliable, to make it more relevant, make it more sustainable, because this is important in order to drive meaning and impact for PR works and PR program. So with that being said, Mr. Todd Murphy, what can you say about PR measurement experts? What can you say, or how would you advise PR measurement experts to do things differently to increase awareness for measurement and evaluation practices among PR stakeholders?
You know, that's a great place to start and a really good question. And I thought quite a bit about it, and it really has nothing to do with technology or digital marketing. It really comes down to counseling your client, counseling the people that you're serving. As a member of the AMEC Association, the global organization that establishes best practices and standards and encourages education in the PR measurement industry, counseling your customers to understand what they should be measuring, how they can improve their measurement methodologies, even if you're doing that measurement for them. In the early 90s, we were measuring based on the weight of volume. How many press clippings did you get? And a lot of clients would simply weigh the envelope when it came in each day or each week and say, oh, it's a heavy envelope. I've got more articles this week or today. We're doing well. And then we moved past that into trying to equate PR effort with advertising values and impressions. And AMEC has done a great job of encouraging measurement companies to get away from that. But our job now is to really finally counsel our customers and take a much more active role in educating them that even when they come to us and say, Todd, we want to have an AVE represented on our report, I need to be able to say politely, which is sometimes hard for me, I understand you want that AVA because you have 10 years of history of seeing that AVE on your report. But I would not be doing my job well if I didn't tell you you need to stop doing that. We need to move you to measures that better correlate to your objectives that you've set out and the outcomes that you're seeing. That's our job. So let me help you is what I would advise customers to help them move forward and elevate the value of their measurement that they're paying us for. I hope that answers the question just a little bit.
Yes, it does, Mr. Todd Murphy. You really provided an insightful answer into the response. And I quite agree with you on the aspect of counseling customers and clients on what exactly they should be measuring, because that is very important. Same question goes to you, Mr. So thank you very much, Mr. Todd Murphy, for that insightful answer once again. So same question goes to you, Mr. Sheye. Please, what should PR measurement experts be doing differently to increase awareness of measurement and evaluation practices among PR stakeholders?
Okay, thank you very much. And just like Todd said, you can just never overemphasize the place for educating and enlightening your clients on what they need to measure. But the gist is the AVE argument is not ready to go in a long time, right? Okay, but apart from that, I think PR measurement experts need to showcase a lot more their achievement and impact. People want to see. The advertising guy will say, this is a campaign I ran, this is what we were able to achieve for clients, right? So the measurement guy should also be doing a lot more around that. We want to show them this is what we've been able to do for our clients. This is where they were, this is where they are because of our intervention. So that should be a lot more. I mean, there should be a lot more focus on talking and telling. I mean, talking and telling people about your impact and your achievements. Then you have to put value on the table. Everybody wants to see the value you are bringing on the table. We don't want to patronize you because you just say this is relevant. What value are you bringing on the table? Then I also think the measurement experts should come together and form a unified voice so that all the others, just like the way the other sectoral groups in marketing have come together. You have the outdoor guys, you have the advertising guy. So the measurement will also like project offerings from time to time. Look at, for instance, measurement had always been around in Nigeria, but until the likes of P Plus came to Nigeria, P Plus came and people started talking about what they are doing with regards to measurement. Doesn't mean that there weren't measurement before P Plus came. No, there was, but we had an organization that came and started talking about it. It came out strong, advocating, doing different things. So at the end of the day, it became quite popular. So we need that. We need the experts to come together and project a unified voice and keep talking about what they're doing, the values they are putting on the table. They should not be shy about it. I think that's what is very, very important for them to do right now.
I agree with you, Mr. Shea. I love the way you brought in the perspective of exhibiting value created in the field of measurement and evaluation, which is really a great one if you really want to stand out, if you really want to make that difference in the measurement and evaluation space. So thank you for that wonderful, that brilliant response to the questions, Mr. Shea. We all know that 2020 has been a topsy-turvy year. It's brought a lot of unexpected, but I would say while they are unexpected, great experiences, and the measurement and evaluation space is not left out of a year that is dominated by the pandemic. So, Mr. Todd, what do you think media measurement and monitoring industry can gain? How do you think the media measurement and monitoring industry can gain the needed COVID-19 industry can gain the needed recognition?
I might just read that question again because you broke up a little bit. In what ways do you think the media measurement and monitoring industry can gain the needed recognition, especially post COVID-19? Everyone obviously is thinking about what comes after this horrible year. Not a single part of the world has avoided the pandemic. Everyone's been touched by it. It doesn't care how rich the country is, how poor the country is, what industries the country focuses on, whether we're black or white. A virus doesn't care about any of that. And so we've all been impacted. But with the announcement recently in the news of several vaccines that are nearing the availability to be rolled out, I think it's given people I'll call it a burst of enthusiasm, a little bit of, I can see the light now. I can see that there will be an end to this pandemic, at least in a way that gets us back to working more in a normal manner. There was a recent global study of the public relations industry that shows that the focus the number one focus for the PR industry is going to be on data and insights in the coming year. So as you know, to answer this question, as that impacts a media monitoring and measurement service, I think that's very exciting because it lets us see that the need for what we do is going to be high. The public relations clients that we serve are going to be focused on the measurement services that we can deliver. Of course, it's up to us to deliver good measurement services. But the interesting thing about that survey was that on a global scale, media monitoring as a standalone service is becoming diminished. So although data insights and measurement are increasing, media monitoring alone is becoming less of a service that is being sought after. So I think the combination of the two is still critical, because without media monitoring, you really have nothing to measure. You have some marketing statistics you can gather from them. You might have some web analytics and social media, but you have to monitor their outputs and their efforts in order to have good correlations between what their goals are and what the outcomes are that they're seeing. So I think that's the first thing, is I see next year as an exciting opportunity for media measurement. And if you have access to either a strong partner that can provide the media monitoring, or you do that in-house, that's going to be necessary in order to feed the growing part of your organization. I think hand in hand is what I see for 2021. And so I'm excited, I'm enthused. And even in the last several weeks, I've seen greater engagement from prospective clients wanting to add services, wanting to learn more about our value-added data and insights. So the survey out of the UK, which was a global survey, I'm seeing that play out actively in my United States market. Hopefully that, so good news for 2021. Let's just put this year behind me. Media measurement is growing. Media monitoring alone probably won't be enough in the coming years. So doing both together is how I would summarize that question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Todd, more optimistic angle about how media monitoring and measurement will gain recognition, beyond COVID-19 era. And you also mentioned the aspect of tapping into the power of data and insight, which I totally agree with you. Because of the technological advancement, because of the need to measure more realistic outcome, more realistic impact, on brands. So tapping into the power of data and insight would really go a long way. So we thank you for that insightful response, and for being optimistic about 2021. I'm optimistic Sheye Olurotimi, and monitoring industry can gain recognition, can gain popularity in post-COVID-19.
Okay, so I also quite agree that there must be like a convergence, like the coming together of monitoring and measurement, so that, for the industry to command a lot more respect. And then, of course, we need to bring in data, we need to bring in a lot more analytics, and the industry needs to embrace contemporary tools, and we need to keep reinventing and coming up with tools that can actually measure the minutest of details. It is very important for the industry to do that in order to retain its relevance and even grow its relevance. And another thing that is important in recognition and relevance is that you need to keep showing up. So the industry cannot afford to be quiet in a post-COVID world, because what has happened during COVID is that a lot of people lost their voices, a lot of industries lost their voices. So whoever is talking now is the one people are going to listen to. So it's a time for the industry to push out a lot more reports, get a lot more people talking about what you do, find out the impact of what the industry is offering. Then I also think, because of the peculiarities of the COVID era, the pocket sizes are shrinking. a lot more people could not afford what they could afford before. So we need to consider that for us to remain relevant, for us to retain, for people to retain our services, we need to come down to their level. Then are we also thinking of even capturing the people that were hitherto not captured? When we talk of media monitoring, we think of the big corporates. But now I think we need to bring it down to even to the micro, small, medium enterprises. Do we have offerings for those set of people? The guy who does not have the money like the big corporates, do we have offerings for them? If we can cater for the different sectors and segments of the market, the industry becomes more popular. Our offerings are known everywhere. So that's what I think. Use a lot more tools, show up every day, then try to cater for different segments of the market. With that, the industry will have a lot more recognition and respect.
Could I comment on Shea's his comments just for a moment? I really appreciated what he said about bringing it down to the smaller markets. That's completely important. Media measurement should not be reserved for the largest corporations. So what he's saying is probably the biggest area of growth that could be is the medium and small businesses. Even if they have a smaller budget, they can benefit from the insights that a measurement service can provide. Can I share my screen? I don't know if you can, you probably can't enable me to share a screen.
All right, to our participants, we sincerely apologize for that interruption. We're trying to get our guests back into this event so that we can continue and so that we can keep learning and keep having fun at the same time. So for those who are just joining in this event, this is the AMEC Measurement Month event that is in partnership with People's Measurement Services. And the theme for this year's event is upscaling the role of media monitoring, measurement, and evaluation in post-COVID-19. And AMEC has chosen People's Measurement Services, Nigeria's leading and foremost media intelligence agency. At People's Measurement Services, we provide web and social monitoring, broadcast monitoring, print monitoring, PR measurement, and performance audit. We also carry out advisory roles and services to brands who who need advices, who need input on how to increase their media visibility, on how to upscale their media and brand reputation. So this year, this event is to enlighten PR professionals, is to enlighten communication experts on the importance, on the benefit, on the role of measurement and evaluation in their public relation and communication plans, tactics, strategies, and programs. So while we are waiting for our guests to join us, please we would employ our participants to exercise some patience with us as this event is still live, is still ongoing, and is still very much active. Thank you all for your patience. Now, for this event, part of what we'll be discussing, part of what our guests will be discussing, 0.0, which was upgraded of this year. The Barcelona principles consist of 7 solid principles that guides the activities, that guides the operation, that guides the program of measurement and evaluation expert. And this tool has been revamped this year to apply and to address larger communication strategies, larger communication activities and operations in organizations and among brands globally. And here at People's Measurement Services, the Barcelona Principle 3.0 is the principle, is a guideline that guides the activities, that guides the measurement, that guides the monitoring, that guides the audit program, the audit processes of the agency. Thank you very much. So for AMEC, just like I mentioned earlier on, AMEC is the Association for Measurement and Evaluation of Communication. And AMEC has been the international body measurement and evaluation in the media and PR space among PR measurement experts. And AMEC has over 160 AMEC members from 86 different countries of the world. This year's AMEC measurement event in Nigeria has been spearheaded by P Plus Measurement Services, and the topic is upscaling the role of media monitoring, measurement, and evaluation in post-COVID-19. We want to discuss, we want to rub minds together and share ideas on how the measurement and evaluation industry can move on past the COVID-19 pandemic, which has dominated the most part of year 2020. So that's the major focus of today's event, and we enjoy our participant, our audience, to follow us and follow us while we have fun and while we all learn together. Please, we apologize to our participant for the slight delay. We are trying to get our guests back into the program. Now, I would also like to seize this opportunity to remind our guests that there'll be opportunity, there'll be section for question and answer, and so any participant who has a question for our guests can indicate by using the icon for raising for raising hand on their device, and your questions, be rest assured that your question will be attended to and answered by our guest. So while we are waiting for our guests to join us, while to continue this event, I would like to share part of what we have for today's event is crisis management, and I would like to enlighten our audience on what crisis management means and how brands can key into crisis management and communication plan. So crisis management are strategies, approaches, method put in place by brands to ensure that to ensure that disruptive events are prevented, to avoid costly mistakes that could tarnish or that could tarnish the image of the brand. Okay, we have one of our guests joining us, Mr. Sheye Orurotimi. And also want to use this opportunity to apologize for the bug. So we have Mr. Sheye back into this event. Thank you very much for joining us again, Mr. Sheye. Apologies for the disruption that was unforeseen.
It's okay. I mean, like you said, it's unforeseen. It's not something any one of us is responsible for. But thank God we're back.
Yeah, it's great to have you back, Mr. Sheye. So moving on with this event, we understand that there's been push intelligence automation, and also the need for deep human thinking when it comes to